So while it's true the Nintendo Switch 2 has a lot of first-party games, there are games on handhelds that have SteamOS like the Lenovo Legion Go that have games that the Switch 2 currently does not have. So let's just get this out of the way real quick and focus on SteamOS games that are not available on the Nintendo Switch 2 just yet. So number one, I have to say it has to be Batman Arkham Knight. Yes, that is available for the Nintendo Switch 1, but honestly, this game does not look anywhere near what it has been on the PlayStation 5, 4, and all the Xbox systems. But on this handheld, you're able to access the actual version of Batman Arkham Knight with its full polished graphics, all of the DLC, and the game just looks absolutely phenomenal on this handheld. And the second game is Devil May Cry 4. This is one of my favorite action-adventure games on any console, and I feel like Devil May Cry 4 on the Steam Deck and all of the SteamOS compatible devices looks exactly how it's supposed to. But not only that, it is the special edition, and for some reason that isn't available on the Nintendo Switch 2. I've been dying to get some kind of newer Devil May Cry game like 4 or even 5, and that's leading me to the next game, Devil May Cry 5. This is one of my favorite, right next to Devil May Cry 4 action adventure games that I've ever played. This is such a badass game, and it looks incredible 100% of the time thanks to the RE engine. I feel like the Nintendo Switch 2 is made for a game like this, and I can't wait until it's actually available for that handheld. And let's not forget the original reboot of Devil May Cry, DMC Devil May Cry. I feel like this game needs more remasters because I want that version of DMC Devil May Cry to be available on the Switch 2. It is the special edition that allows you to target enemies and has a bunch of other tweaks that this game needed for a long time. And number 5 through 7 has to be Dead Rising 1, Dead Rising 2, and Dead Rising 3. I feel like all of these games have made their mark in the industry, and you can see the influence with games like Dead Island, Dying Light. I feel like Capcom has once again revolutionized the zombie genre, and Dead Rising 1 through 3 shows that inspiration. And it is a much needed trilogy, as well as Off the Record, if you like that one, on the Nintendo Switch 2. I feel like the Switch 2 is in dire need of actual Dead Rising games, and I know there's one potential Dead Rising game that can make its way to the Nintendo Switch 2, but you know they're just going to port over the Wii version. I want them to port over the Xbox 360 version, which I'm pretty sure this is, and the Xbox 360 version looks the absolute best. And number 8 and 9 has to be Marvel Spider-Man 1 and Marvel Spider-Man 2. These two games have been in my top 10 for a long time, even my top 5 over the past 5 years. So seeing this remaster and its sequel on the Switch 2 would be something that would actually make me get back into my Switch 2, because I've been primarily gaming on SteamOS handhelds because they have access to games like Spider-Man 1 remastered, Miles Morales, and 2. And I feel like the Switch needs some more superhero games. We have all the Batman games, but if we were to have the Spider-Man games, that would be an absolute game changer, and it's something that would make me want to game on my Switch 2 even more. And my personal number 10 would have to be Resident Evil 2 Remake. This is one of the best remakes I've ever played in my entire life. I continuously go back to this remake because it is the best survival horror game I've ever played in my entire life, honestly. I've spent over 100 hours. This does not tell the truth. Oh, wait, no. I spent about 524 hours on this game on the Steam Deck and any SteamOS compatible device. And I've got to say, I haven't had enough just yet. I feel like when I finally get my hands on Resident Evil Requiem, I'm going to go back to Resident Evil 2 Remake again, just to see where everything started. This is the best game in the series, the golden standard for survival horror and Resident Evil games. And it's something that I desperately need on my Nintendo Switch 2. Why can't they just port over this remake? They don't have to port over Resident Evil 3 Remake. I'm fine with that. As long as they have Resident Evil 2 Remake, then I am happy. I don't need anything else. I'll be honest, this is the only game I desperately need on the Nintendo Switch 2, and that's available on other handhelds. That completely gets me back into the other handhelds opposed to the Nintendo Switch 2. But yeah, if Nintendo just starts porting over games rapidly, I hear it's easy to port over games to the Switch 2, but I feel like this is one of the games that might prove to be semi-difficult for Nintendo, because, well, it means more. And so they probably are going to try to add some extra content or additional characters or costumes or something like that in order to make it more appealing for people that want to pick up the Switch 2 version, similar to Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. I desperately want that as well. And I didn't mention that when I showed Devil May Cry 5, but the Special Edition in particular is something I can't get my hands on SteamOS compatible devices like the Legion Go. Steam Deck is just not available for Steam just yet, or any other PC platform. Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition is a console exclusive, so if you bring it to something like the Nintendo Switch 2, then probably they're going to export over those additional console exclusives. But yeah, let me know what you think about this top 10 list. I feel like any RE Engine game would work very well, and seeing how there's been a lot of drama around certain games. I didn't mention games like Metal Gear Solid 5, but I just did because Konami has had a difficult time and complicated situations with that game. But that's another game that I would love to see on the Switch too that I don't think that we're going to get. But I feel like Resident Evil 2 Remake is a realistic wish that we can make. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. And let me know what your top 10 games are that you would love to see ported over to the Switch 2 that is already available on your handheld PCs like the Legion Go, Steam Deck, and all those other ones. But thank you guys so much again. Hope you have a good one. Later.